Welcome to Workplace Psychology with Dr. Martha Greidick. I'm Dr. Martha Greidick. This podcast examines a wide variety of work-related issues through the lens of industrial and organizational psychology. And while many of the topics discussed here may be seen as intended for white-collar employees and their employers, in reality, the ideas presented here are applicable across organizations and industries. Additionally, many of the topics discussed here may be applicable outside of the workplace. I encourage you to examine what's presented here, apply what makes sense to you, and simply discard the rest. Work-life balance is an important component of your health and well-being. It's an important topic and it's a complex topic. In simple terms, work-life balance pertains to your role at work and its relationship with your role or roles outside of the workplace. In more specific terms, work-life balance speaks to the availability of resources for your work domain, as well as all of the domains beyond work, all of your personal life domains, and the interaction or the interplay of those resources. The perfect formula for work-life balance is different for everyone. It depends on many different variables, things such as personality, things such as personal preferences, even profession may come into play when we talk about work-life balance. So it's important to remember that there is no one-size-fits-all formula for identifying that perfect balance between work and non-work. That will be individual to every single person. But what we can say is the lack of work-life balance can result in a variety of different problems, including health issues, and that includes physical health and psychological health. The lack of work-life balance may result in decreased engagement at work, decreased motivation and productivity. And of course, a lack of work-life balance may lead to burnout. And while this is a complex and involving topic, let's start by reviewing some of the contributing factors so that you may review those in your own life. One important component to proper work-life balance is the ability to disconnect from our job on a regular basis in order to recharge. That means disconnecting every day, disconnecting from our job and doing things that help us to recharge. And of course, while sleep is one of those things, it goes beyond sleep. We can recharge our batteries, so to speak, in many different ways beyond just rest and sleeping. Doing fun, enjoyable, pleasant activities represents some of the ways that we can recharge our batteries. And of course, I realize that some people, considering their profession, may not be able to disconnect every single day. Maybe if you're on call, that prevents you from doing so. But generally speaking, that's the aim. We want to disconnect from our jobs on a daily basis so that we may focus on our lives outside of the workplace and allow ourselves to recharge our batteries, so to speak. Another important consideration when we talk about work-life balance is the proper management of our time. We all work with the same 24-hour a day period of time. And some people seem to be able to get a lot more done than others. And that may come down to our ability to manage our schedules. How efficient are you in your daily activities? Are you wasting a lot of time? Are you distracted with a lot of things that really should not be allowed to distract you? So proper time management is an important thing to consider. When your time is squandered because of poor time management, you are much more likely to have to work extra hours, bring work home with you, and really tip that work-life balance out of balance. Learning how to prioritize is another important component to work-life balance. We can't mark everything as a number one priority or as a high priority. Some things in life simply are higher priority than other things in life, and that means our work life and our personal life. So when it comes to work-life balance, it's important to learn how to properly prioritize in such a way that you're still able to accomplish what you need to accomplish, but not in such a way that you mark everything as being priority one. If you're marking everything as priority one, then there's an issue, and that issue may be you not understanding how to properly prioritize, or perhaps you are working in an environment or in a reality where you're lacking resources or simply have too much on your plate. So that's a lot to consider. So remember, prioritizing properly is key to healthy work-life balance. It's also important to learn to say no. While it's difficult for some more than others, to say no to requests of favors or tasks or responsibilities or whatever the case may be, it's critical to learn how to say no. You can't be everything to everybody, whether that's at work or in your personal life. So it's absolutely critical to learn how to say no. Another consideration in terms of your work-life balance is learning to delegate. You can't do everything by yourself. There have to be things in your life, your work life, your personal life, that you can delegate to others. And if your answer is that there are no things that I can delegate to others, I would consider some control issues that you may need to address. There absolutely are things in everybody's life that can be delegated. So lightening your load, allowing you to regain a sense of work-life balance, depends for many on your ability to delegate some of your tasks and responsibilities. It's also important to learn how to let go of perfection. While it's one thing to strive for excellence, it's a whole different thing to expect perfection, which rarely exists and can hold you back and can get you stuck in doing the same thing over and over again, trying to achieve that perfection, which may be not necessary or not attainable or both. So it's very important to think about where you are on that scale of trying to achieve perfection as opposed to simply striving for excellence, doing your best to produce excellent results, as opposed to trying to achieve something that may not be achievable. And lastly, let's consider technology. Technology can be a gift as much as it can be a curse. It's important that you use technology to your benefit, not your detriment. So use technology as a tool that allows you to complete your work, to get your things done, to get things accomplished, but not in a way that distracts you. And I'm talking about social media, watching news or reading articles that have nothing to do with work, that are simply wasting your time when you could be using that time to get things done. So make sure that you are using technology to your benefit, not your detriment. While technology can be a wonderful helper, a wonderful tool, it can also be a big time waster and a big distraction. So it's important to know where you are in terms of whether you're using technology to your benefit or allowing technology to be your detriment or to be using you. As you can see, there is much to consider when we talk about work-life balance. We all know how important it is, and the potential effects of a lack of work-life balance, which can range from health issues to decreased productivity or engagement at work, even burnout. Regaining a proper work-life balance and keeping it comes at a price. It comes with your efforts. So first and foremost, you have to decide how important work-life balance is. If it's not important to you, then you probably won't be willing to do anything that will help you to regain or maintain it. But if work-life balance is something that is important to you, then consider the practices, the ideas that were presented here in this episode, as those are very important in terms of the role that they play in our work-life balance. As this episode comes to an end, let's review what was discussed. We all know of how important work-life balance is and the potential effects of a lacking work-life balance, especially if we look at long-term basis. There are many things that contribute to our ability to regain and keep a proper work-life balance. And of course, as with anything else in life, our willingness to do the work is key. Some of the ideas that were presented here included our ability to disconnect from work on a daily basis in order to recharge. Being organized and well managing your time are also important. Prioritizing, being able to say no, and delegating are all key components of achieving and maintaining proper work-life balance. Letting go of perfection and striving for excellence instead is a good option as you work towards improving your work-life balance. And finally, using technology to your benefit as opposed to your detriment is key when working on improving your work-life balance. As the week unfolds, I invite you to examine the state of your own work-life balance. Where is it? Is it where you want it to be? Are you happy with the way things are? Do you want to see change in how your work-life balance is playing out? And are you willing to do what needs to be done to facilitate that change? Remember the ideas that were brought up today and consider each one of them in your life and see where you can make improvements, where you can make changes so that you can achieve the best work-life balance that is your perfect formula. Thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to this podcast. I hope that you will join me again next time. Until then, I wish you joy and well-being.